Welcome back to third episode. 3 weeks, 3 episodes. Let's think about it. I'm your host Kabir, and we have two of our, it's just me today, not Royce. Two of my favorite people, Chaitanya Monga and Malcolm Bassi, and financial gurus over here. So give me introduction one by one sentence.
Just because it's a lot easier. But I'm the founder and director of Brightcap Financial. We're a full-service mortgage brokerage. We specialize in everything from commercial, construction, residential, financing. We really provide it all. We're kind of like a one-stop shop.
Right.
But we like to think of ourselves as financial advisors, really, not mortgage brokers.
Look at that. I asked for one sentence. I got 15.
Longest sentence.
It was a long sentence. Come on now.
What about you, Malcolm?
My name is Malcolm. I joined Chet and the Brightcap team about 2 years ago. I come from the world of banking, so a lot of banking experience behind me. And then decided to take on the broker world and Chet and I
take it by storm.
Yeah, take it by storm. But Chet and I have known each other like 10 years, so it was
how's it working together with the buddies? Because you guys are pretty close.
Honestly, it's the best, man. It's the best.
It can be annoying too.
It can be annoying too, but we put up with you, so we can put up with Malcolm too. No problem.
That's right back, right? So, how long have you guys been working together? 2 years?
2 years now officially, but even before that, kind of going back and forth on deals and clients and stuff when we can.
Yeah. So for more context, I mean, Malcolm's always been in banking roles, and I've been a broker now for like over.
You've been doing this
7 years now?
Yeah.
Right? So it's been a long time in the game, and Malcolm's always been there for support as well from his banking channels and his experience over there. So officially it's been 2 years, but I would say like he's been part of this since the beginning. Since the official beginning,
Me and this guy, I know you from a long time too, but me and this guy, remember the green Camaro SFU?
Oh, the green Camaro.
But he used to take the first or second spot right there.
Throwback, man.
This guy used to drive around to see, when the spot gets empty.
I doubt that.
That was a fun car.
Yeah, that was a fun car. What happened to that car?
Yeah, different story.
Long
different
story.
Day.
that car is not here anymore, right?
Nope, not here anymore.
Yeah. We still are. That's what matters. So, talk more about Brightcap. How did the name originated? Like, what's the meaning behind the name?
Yeah. To be honest, like the way we look at the financial services industry, it's always considered a little bit cold, transactional, right? So we wanted to really take that out. And when Brightcap was incorporated and founded as well, the whole idea was to create a relationship with our clients. And we really consider that from a lot of different ways. We try to provide a white glove service altogether. So Brightcap was created with the idea in mind to better everyone's financial situation and financial picture. That's where the word bright comes from, creating a bright path to their financial future.
Especially for people now.
Yeah.
We need a lot of bright path.
Everyone really needs it. Everyone really needs it, right? So we can get more into the nitty-gritty, but Brightcap was created with relationships in mind, awesome. And to provide the right and the best mortgage solutions for our clients.
Nice. In terms of mortgages, as you mentioned, you do commercial and residential.
Yeah,
that's
correct.
What do you prefer?
What do I prefer personally? I wouldn't say it's necessarily a preference. I would say it's more so just the overall interest level. And with how long I've been doing this now, I really originally started this in the residential space as well and learned the business in that space. But as I grew in the industry as well, I realized that I liked more complicated, more metrics being involved in every single deal. So I do like the commercial field and the commercial deals that we all work on. They're just more complicated in nature. They do take much, much longer to close, but that's part of the game.
Sometimes 3-4 extensions too.
Yeah. Sometimes we're working on deals for 3 years, right? And no one really knows the value that it takes to sometimes put into every single deal. So. But I do really like the commercial space.
So your expertise is mostly, I'm guessing, you take the commercial role in Brightcap and you do residential?
That's where I come in. Yeah, I come from a residential background because...
You were a mortgage broker at TD or just
I was a mobile mortgage specialist at TD and we're strictly residential in that role. So, I was doing that for about 4 years. And then even prior to that, I was a financial advisor at a credit union where I was strictly doing residential as well. So... a lot of residential experience on my end, but one of my reasons for transitioning was I was getting like these commercial deals and developer clients and that kind of stuff, and it's like, why am I just passing it along when I can join Chat?
When you actually do the math, you're like, oh, fuck, dude. Like, I just gave the client away. I did that too for the longest time with pre-sales. Right. When me and Raj weren't active in pre-sale game, and then we had one guy, we were kind of like telling him, like, we have a few clients.
Right.
And then one day me and him are sitting, and I'm just like, yo, did we just get 30% referral from the client that we could have just closed?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, that's exactly what we did. Yeah. And then when you do the math, you're like, yeah, I can just really grow my network and kind of go from there.
Grow your expertise just in every single aspect, right? And
or working with like someone who has more expertise in one right avenue.
Build a team, right? Whether if you can't add that value.
How's your experience with the team and individually?
You know what?
In terms of workload and everything.
I would say it's something you continue to work on and continue to adapt with. You know, when you're working as an individual,
you seem more relaxed.
I mean,
I can tell you that.
as an individual, you know, as an individual broker, I like to see that you have a lot more hats that you have to wear. With regards to, of course, watching your own deals, underwriting your own deals, and then also thinking about your business and your brand and how you're growing that. Now, as a team, we do have Malcolm as a broker. We do have one additional broker as part of BrightCap. We're a really boutique team that way. And we do intend to stay on the smaller side, right?
I think in the longevity, I think it's better because you can cater to certain people in a very, proper manner.
Our goal is for our brokers to be able to all earn very high incomes as opposed to everyone earning very small incomes and having 200 brokers, right? We want to deliver quality over quantity, right? And that's what we're really here for. So
that's actually very rare because it's usually the other way around. Paji, no tension, though, file up, we'll do it, this and that, right? But I think quality over quantity in the longer run, it's much better in terms of your growth and everything as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So just going back to that, like as now a brokerage owner, it has transitioned significantly. I am also wearing multiple hats, but now I am able to hand off certain deals when I don't have the capacity to be able to take them on, which is a really nice thing. I have, Malcolm here as a very experienced residential broker as well to be able to take on any deal from any aspect and be able to add value and get it done.
Awesome. Right. So in terms of your guys' majority of your business, is it 50-50 or is it more residential right now? Less commercial?
I would say our business is pretty 50-50 in terms of our deal spread right now with regards to commercial and residential.
Right.
I mean, we do. What the problem is that commercial deals altogether are much larger in size.
Right.
So it's a difficult metric to measure because
you could do one for like 4 months and it still doesn't really justify the comparison, right? So,
exactly, right? And it may take 10, 20 residential deals to earn the same value in terms of overall commissions and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, like
I think balance is where it's at.
Yeah. Residential is like the bread and butter, right? That's going to keep the income and the revenue coming in. And the commercial deals are where you kind of like you make the big bucks, or you
can hold
it's
off.
a satisfying close, right? I've been working on this deal for a year or 6 months or whatever, and you're like finally a nice big paycheck.
No, I think that's very that's a good thing how you guys have a balance.
Yeah.
Like
the idea is to just really make sure it's balanced all together, and it's not only from the perspective of our portfolios, but it's more so even our clients and providing them better service.
You have more business that way too, right? So
well, like when we approach a client, we try to ask them all the right questions. So we're not only getting to their personal borrowing needs, we're also getting into their commercial borrowing needs or business borrowing needs, and really just anything they need a service on.
I'm glad you said that. It's a very easy thing to get more business when you already have a client, but people just don't ask because they're like, we made the money once. Let's just move on.
Yeah, exactly. So. I mean, there's part of that, but I also feel like there's also a lack of experience with a lot of brokers as well, where they, like, I know, honestly, like a handful of brokers on my hand as well that are primarily in the residential lending space, but do not understand commercial and have no intention to go that way.
They would, sometimes I feel like one of my like very good clients, he talked to his residential broker.
Had
no idea about commercial.
She
took the file.
And
3 weeks later, we had to obviously not remove the subjects because she didn't know what she was doing.
She wasn't qualified enough. I
think that's one of the caveats of these big, large brokerages. Like, cool, you have 100 brokers under you. Like, there's a lot of volume coming in. But
they just expect them to kind of know what.
But so somebody who's more novice might not know what to do or how to handle a file, and it's hard to get that learning experience then, right? Whereas for us and our a few other brokers, we just bounce off each other, kind of.
It's
easy to be like, hey, chat, this is what I'm experienced with this
Plus,
file.
given
like,
the fact your guys both expertise it's been in the same field for so long. So you know the right people.
Personal relationship helps as well, right? Like really, all the brokers that we do intend to bring on are from our existing personal networks.
I think that's tell me, have you worked with someone who's not, like, in terms of your team, who's not your close friend, or you haven't known the person for so long?
To be honest, no, I haven't. Even brokers that we're bringing on that are currently going through the licensing process, there is some sort of personal connection or personal relationship there.
I think to work in the environment too is a lot more. It's a lot better.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just because you feel more like at home, first of all, right?
You just feel comfortable working with the person, right? And it's not only work related. You can talk about personal things and honestly just build a good relationship.
100%.
It's like you said about quality, not quantity, right? We're not just onboarding anybody. It's and it's your business, like it's your baby. Like, like you want to trust who you hire and who you bring onto the team.
Because it's tough to kind of like invest in people, then they leave and all that, right?
Yeah, that's a big thing as well, right? What you're getting for your value that you're putting in. Right. So I mean, at the end of the day, time is the biggest currency we have.
Wow, I'm gonna take that home. I'm gonna put it on the wall. I think we operate the same way too.
We got 2025.
We have a very small team too, and we also value time as the biggest currency too, right? So I work with my brother and my cousin too. Now we just onboarded him. We have a little too much friendly environment at that office. So how sometimes that also gets in the way too.
Yeah.
Like once I feel like, so when I work in my office, I have my door shut.
Yeah.
My table has to be like very clean. Right. I have a little bit of OCD.
Yeah.
Raj is opposite.
Yeah.
Sometimes this guy's so
Chaos,
fucking loud. This guy's like talking over me, even though he's not in my office. And I'm like, bro, like you need to shut the fuck up a little bit, man. Let me fucking talk to my fucking client. So I think the comfort is just you need a balance in there too.
I think when you're working with people close to you, productivity definitely goes down.
You would probably like to him, Malcolm. 5 p.m. Yeah. Malcolm and chat right now. We just work and we'll talk after, right?
Yeah.
No, that's
change
awesome,
that to 6 p.m. But
well, even when we're hanging on normally, it's still work. Right?
What about Fridays though? Fridays is usually 2, 3 p.m. Bro, you guys have such a easy Friday.
Okay, look, listen.
You gotta call for 2:30. Hey, anything happening with the file? I think Friday, bro. what do you know?
I think we need to clarify. I think we need to clarify. So Fridays, they tend to be a little bit easier when it comes to emails and phone calls and things of that nature.
Just don't reply.
Because it's not about us. The banks are not replying. Right?
See, that's the main thing. I remember this case to have a beer every 2:33. Like fuck it, it's Friday. Right? It's Monday's problem.
Different times and different year. We're in 2025, January.
Monday's problem, right? Fuck.
Different goals in place.
So okay, since you said goals, I'm just gonna start from there. Yeah. What are the 3 personal and professional goals for you and you after?
Personal and professional. Personal, health, wealth, success.
Wow. What's the definition of success?
Success is
good health, good wealth.
Just balancing off this dude.
Just balance everything. No, honestly though, the definition of my success is a balance of really personal and professional life. Right. At the same
time, has it gotten better?
It has gone a lot better.
Seems like it has.
It's gone a lot better. It used to be more work all the time. But now, life is advancing. Right. So you got to adjust with it.
Maturing, like things are happening.
Exactly. Exactly.
And what about personal?
That was personal.
My bad.
What about professional? Professional, growth of Brightcap, growth of...
You guys expanding to Alberta, you mentioned?
Yeah, so we actually just recently got licensing out in Alberta.
That's awesome.
Which is great. We are currently working on our rollout, on our marketing to eventually launch in Alberta.
Nice.
But yeah, we're officially licensed to start working on deals in Alberta.
If you guys need any Calgary properties, Alberta properties, give me a call and then I'll put you in touch with them.
Call Kabir first, because you know it, right? And yeah, other than that, national expansion, that's the eventual goal, but awesome. It's slow growth and slow progress, and
progress is progress, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
You
right
still
in the world.
Still have 2 left, but professional.
I mean, honestly, like that's really it. That's really it.
That's awesome.
It's slow and slow growth, but at the end of the day, the growth in the right direction.
That's how it should be. Yeah. But what about you, Mr. Bassi?
Kind of the same. I mean,
brother, you can't copy the answers, bro. We're not SFU right now. We're not SFU right now.
Okay, health and wealth is a given, right? Personally, right? Like
fucking denied.
No,
give me 2. I'm joking.
Hey man, everybody needs to be healthier. Yeah, everybody wants to be wealthier, so that's always part of the plan. And I think just like spending more time with family, maybe.
Right.
Like, I know I prioritize work a lot, and sometimes we're working from home. I'm upstairs all day, and then you go downstairs. You just want to eat, and then you want to sit there and spend time with the family, have dinner together. And
I think when you're busy, you just kind of like you put down the side burner.
Yeah,
but that needs to be
especially when it's
priorities.
Your business, right? It's not a 9 to 5 anymore. It's a
no one's telling you what to do.
365.
Right?
But you guys been going through the same thing. So I guess now when you have more experience, you can also kind of take a step back.
Yeah,
reflect on what needs to be reflected to.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Exactly. Align your priorities, right?
Right. What about professional? professional?
Just volume goals, increase the volumes, revenue goals, increase the revenue, and then probably just expanding the knowledge more. Like Chet's very versed in commercial. I'm starting to bring more commercial files on. I want to expand the portfolio of what I can take on as well, right?
That's awesome.
Together we can take on everything, but just like, bringing more to the table as well.
Nice. Just get a bigger table.
Let's get a bigger table.
That's it.
Let's get a bigger table.
Gotta fill it up, right?
That's it. That's awesome, man. In terms of lending and in terms of your guys' experience, talk about a few things which you guys have noticed in terms of being ethical in the business.
Yeah.
Because I know in mortgage world, a lot of shit happens under the table. So
a lot of stuff happens.
What do you think? Where that's gonna go once? Because you know how CRA and everything is saying they're gonna have like NOAs with income. Is that what they're planning on doing?
Yeah. So there is news that there's going to be
in the works. It's been in the works for a few years now, right?
It's been in the works for quite a while now. There is talks of a CRA Income Verification Tool, which
do you think it'll happen?
I definitely think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen hopefully sooner rather than later, right? They're saying either end of the year or early 2026, right? So we do expect it to happen. General brokers like myself will not have access to this specific tool as far as my understanding. It'll be with the big banks, which honestly, I think that's the best way to go about it. There's a lot of confidentiality involved.
So let's say if you are a mortgage broker at a bank, would they have access?
Yeah, the bank would have access.
So independent brokers won't.
Independent brokers will not.
Fair enough.
And as far as my understanding,
which is good because they are the ones who are providing the lending aspect of it.
Yeah, and I don't think personally, I don't think MMSs even at banks will have access to this. I think it's going to be more so their underwriting committees and things like that.
Just very confidential. Right. Just so they can align and match. Right.
Yeah, it's privileged information.
I think that's how it should be because if it's very accessible, then what's the point?
Right? That's exactly it, right? And at the end of the day, I definitely think it's needed in the industry. I think there's a lot of fraud ongoing. I mean, there's so many cases too. So many. We've had calls from clients directly asking for that service, and we specifically deny it, and we tell them that that's not the right way to go about it. We allow them to understand the repercussions of it, but that's all we can do in that space, 100%. Right? I think people really can't do anything else.
They think about everything in a very short-term kind of way.
Yeah.
Right. Because the biggest problem of that is because there is so much supply of that right now, so they just expect everyone to have, the same resources. Yeah. Which is not the case and shouldn't be the case.
Yeah.
And how do you think it's going to impact those people who have gone through that?
You know what? I think they may end up losing their homes, unfortunately, which is not the right thing either. At the end of the day,
it's tough, man. For foreclosures in this 2024 and obviously going to 2025 has been insane.
Yeah, yeah.
We've
seen a lot of quarter-ordered sales, right?
It's insane.
And it sucks because typically when people do acquire properties, they'll maximize their purchasing power, 80% loan to value on every given property.
They fucking refinance it and then get something else on top.
Well, see, that's the thing. You can only refinance so much as well because your property values need to increase. And based on the markets that we've been in the last 2-3 years, property values haven't skyrocketed. And they won't
skyrocketed in the last 3 years.
They won't, realistically speaking, right? So
the cap that was created in 2021, that really, a lot of people are in a very difficult position, which is, right?
Yeah.
So, but how do you think that's going to change the market in terms of demand for a lot of people?
I think it's a bit of a correction in a way because now the people who can afford these properties are going to be able to afford them. Like when you do this under the table stuff, you're getting yourself into a situation where cool, I got my mortgage approved, but 6 months down the road, I can't make the payment.
Well, I think I had a similar scenario once, and then the client told me I have my mortgage approved.
Yeah.
And when I asked about, what do you do and all that, he's like, I'm like,
you want me to do?
I'm like, you do. I'm like, you do realize once your term is over, you have to refinance your house. Yeah. And what if this, the mortgage person you have, what if he's not there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was just shook. And I told him, I'm like, I personally wouldn't want to pursue anything that's going to put you in a position and me in a position because we all get sued.
Yeah. I mean, consider an individual who has taken these practices and gotten the financing that they needed, right? The bank at renewal has to realistically provide them a renewal legally,
right?
As long as their payment terms have been accurate.
Sometimes they ask for more documents too, don't they?
Not necessarily, no, never. It's usually an auto renewal, unless there's concerns that the bank has with regards to affordability.
Unless you're changing your bank or whatever. That's a different story.
Yeah, so only time that gets considered is when it's going to a different bank, right? Income gets reviewed again to make sure that you can debt service the loan. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, if they have other... How do I word this? If they have other growth expectations from themselves personally to be able to buy other properties, or I want to open a business or this or that. Right. They don't realize how that's going to change their existing financing, and that's the biggest key. Right. People will often just maximize the maximum affordability. So we don't often look personally ourselves at BrightCap. We don't like to focus on solely just qualifying the borrower for the maximum they can qualify for,
but comfortably what they can afford.
What they can comfortably afford.
A lot of people miss that out. Point. A lot of people are your numbers kind of have you look at the budget of this to this.
Yeah.
And then 90% of times, brokers and realtors, they will just go for the highest amount.
And I mean, there's reasons for it. Like, people always say, like, oh, if you're buying a home, you'll have a rental suite, you'll have this, you'll have that. But then you're relying on additional sources of income. And what if you cannot rent it out? What if there's vacancy? What if
people don't factor that in, right? When you're in it's like the FOMO when you have, it's very strong. And I didn't expect that to be this strong, especially in 2021.
Yeah.
Like 2021, everyone was fucking flying.
Yeah.
Like, like people were thinking money's going to come out.
3-4 purchases per borrower.
I think every person, exactly. Because I was talking to someone at the gym today. A lot of realtors go to the gym. They all... we all have the same topic in the morning.
Talk about the gym a lot. Yeah. They might as well get a platinum sponsorship.
Fuck, I should, man. But no, bro,
all your clients are from there.
We all wake up in the morning. First thing you do, real estate ho gaya. I'm like, we've been talking about the same thing.
For how many years now?
It's 5 years.
Yeah.
I've been platinum for a long time, but I got my license in 2020, so 5 years.
Yeah.
But even me and Carm too, first thing,
oh,
look at this property. I'm like, let's just work out first.
Carm's a different story, man. I guess looking at islands and
So everyone has like a very similar approach to it. Mm-hmm. But I feel like what the change I've observed in a lot of realtors too, now whosoever's helping people in this market, they're very sensible. Now they're taking steps that they should have taken.
Yeah.
So they're advising people like, hey, if there's a lot of work orders right now.
Yeah.
You see every house that's trying to create another basement suite. Yeah. Cities just like they're very, very active at the moment. Mm-hmm. So they're telling people like, hey, like now if that's the only way you're going to make money to afford the house, you may as well just not do it, because it's going to put you in a pretty difficult position.
Yeah.
Because mortgages went from 1% in 2021 to, what's the rate right now? 4.5%? 4%?
Yeah, I think the lowest rate that we've seen is like for uninsured, like 4.44%.
Right. What was the highest rate have you ever seen?
And I've seen rates in the 7s, 8s, right?
Remember the condo we refinanced?
Yeah.
My South Street condo?
Yeah.
Thing went to fucking 6.75%. And I'm like, fuck, man, I called
that's what you had to ask what the highest is, because you had to make sure yours wasn't the highest, right?
I called my tenant. I'm like, we might have to adjust the rent a little bit. He's like, no, don't do that. I'm like, fuck, man. But imagine who people who have a portfolio of like, 20, 30, $40 million, which I'm pretty sure you guys know, like, a few clients that have that, and they also were hurting.
Yeah.
Because everyone's kind of just...
Well, see, that's the challenge, because you can only increase rent so much legally, right? So at the end of the day, you're limited on that side by tenancy laws.
Right. What's the commercial side? I know residential is a certain... How much rent can you increase on the commercial end, do you know?
To be honest with you, not exactly.
It's a very small percentage. I know that's not something too large.
I mean, typically with commercial leases, like once they really mature is when... you have to renegotiate that lease completely.
Those leases
so they can increase the rates significantly compared to what they originally had on the lease.
Yeah.
But during the term itself, like there's really no flexibility, because usually there's a schedule that's set in place for every year and how much it's increasing.
Right.
So it's usually pre-negotiated. So we don't often see those challenges on the commercial side.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Commercial investment, I mean, obviously it takes more capital, but I feel like it's a lot more safer.
Yeah, I think it's less volatile, right? Primarily residential real estate goes up and down like crazy.
Plus the tenancies, they can mess up your place. With commercial, you're kind of on your own, right?
They're operating their own businesses, so they kind of understand. There's a little bit more professional courtesy when you're working with commercial real estate in general.
Right.
People are more knowledgeable. You don't have to explain the basics all over again as to like what a mortgage is even. Right. And there's no wrong question or wrong answer even, right? At the end of the day, like, we're here to provide information. That's what we're here for.
I think now the biggest thing now is which is making a difference in terms of realtors and brokers is like person who can provide more value. People can kind of like lean more towards them.
Yeah.
Like in 2021, 2022, people were just like, everyone just wanted to buy a property, but now I feel like everyone's more reserved, right?
So yeah. I mean, it was very transactional.
Yeah.
Right. Even us, to be quite honest with you, like, it was more so not how do I go get more business. It was how do I service my existing business, because it's consistently coming in.
That can get you so much more business.
Yeah.
I think people, again, don't look at the aspect of like what you have.
Yeah.
Because my primarily thing is I don't take new clients.
Yeah.
I haven't taken new clients since the last 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
old clients, they will refer me to people. They want to sell their homes. I just keep on just harassing my old clients. Like, that's it. No, but
they can't hit unsubscribe on Kabir.
They can't. That's their problem, right? Not my problem. One day I called a client of mine. And I'm like, hey man, the property, like, people's properties are not getting appraised, but I think I can get you like $500,000 more than what you paid.
Yeah.
And this guy bought the property in end of 2020.
Right.
Like the best time to buy a property.
Yeah.
This guy's like, yo, when are you gonna stop calling me, bro? I'm like, until you list the property. I sold this property.
Change your number.
I sold this property. He got 2 more.
Knowing girlfriends.
I am. Fuck. Sadly, man. Fuck. I gotta admit that. Fuck. Yeah, but I'm that one. You can't block me though. That's the problem. Because I usually know where you live.
That's true.
That's true.
No, I'm a very nice realtor. 604-355-7001. All right.
Plug in.
Let's talk about in terms of your guys' experience. Like, for example, the people you've helped in 2021.
Yep.
Obviously, they saw a big increment in their expenses. Have people called you guys? Hey, we're trying to, get a LOC for expenses.
Yeah.
Like, have you guys run into those scenarios?
I'll let you plug away at this question a little bit. And
Yeah. Like, from the people that have bought a couple of years ago and if they have equity built in their home, a lot of people do want the home equity line or something that they can use to pay off personal debts. Or
is it more common now than before, asking for personal expenses?
I wouldn't say it's any more common or any less.
Right.
When we did their file originally, like 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago,
right,
we already took a deep dive into their expenses, right? Okay, like it's clean or they have a little bit of debt or whatever. Now, if that changed, it's like, why did that change? What happened in your life that
the increment went up in terms of payments? Like how from 2021 at 1%, now those payments have gone up like fucking to like.
Gotcha. Right. Sorry, I was taking the question out of context, but like. In a lot of scenarios, the payment is harder, but there are options. Like, it depends on which lender you're with, right? Like, TD, for instance, had that trigger rate point where...
Right. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
How does that differ in banks?
So with TD, it was a trigger rate. So once the interest went high enough and your payment hit this trigger point, it was now you're at this point where your payment isn't even covering the interest portion of your mortgage payment. So what do? You either got to fix it in, right? From your variable rate, you can fix it in. You can increase your payment. You can put a lump sum onto your mortgage, right, to help with that. And then the other version is what Scotiabank does is it varies, right? So as the interest rate goes up, the payment is going up.
I know, I experienced that one. I didn't experience the TD one, but I experienced the Scotiabank one.
So for some people that works out great because you can afford the higher payment and you're still within your actual amortization versus my cousin called me today. We did her mortgage a couple of years ago and she's like, I only paid this much principal in the last year.
A lot of people are shocked too.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm at TD. I never hit the trigger point, this, that. And I'm like, well, the interest goes up so much that now you're only paying down a certain portion. Right. But she was smart about it. She did the additional payments and stuff. But another option is what we're doing now for a lot of people is, specific example, somebody was fixed in last year at a 639.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they're like, well, damn, what do I do, right?
What's the usual penalty? I was talking to Chet about my clients.
So with a variable rate, it's usually the 3-month interest penalty, right?
Fixed is higher, right?
Fixed is higher. It's an interest rate differential. It depends on the current market rate, the amount left in your mortgage, what your rate was. It
gets calculated on the day off.
Correct. You have to give them a specific date. I'm paying on my mortgage on January 31st. What's my penalty going to be on that date?
Right.
So that...
Does that fluctuate?
That can fluctuate.
Like,
because
is it very high increments?
It can. It totally depends on what the market rate is now.
Fair enough.
So in this specific example, the the penalty wasn't too high. Right. So, and us bringing them to another lender and lowering their payment... It was very worth it for them. We decreased their payment by almost $1,300.
Oh, wow.
And we were able, there was enough equity for them to pay off the penalty as well.
That's all.
And we ran an entire calculation, and in 5 years, they're paying down much more.
Makes sense. So you just got to look at the... See, we don't get this. A lot of the times, brokers don't even tell you, like, hey, this is a scenario that you can run into.
We honestly really try to go into
the reason why you wouldn't tell me this scenario, because you know I would go end up buying a car. It's kind of like, you were saving $1,300. I'm like, oh, wow.
Extra $1,300 for a lease.
I'm watching Kabir's budgets before they even happen.
He's like, yo, you got a new... I haven't even refinanced. I'm like, bro, in my mind, I've already made $1,300 a month, so I'm gonna go. No, I don't do that anymore.
Girl math, right?
Yeah, that's past. I don't know about that, but no, that's knowing this side of mortgage aspect. Like when people need to know this too, because there's options available. I was telling him, one of my clients didn't know that there's a penalty. Today they were told the penalty is $45,000. Closing
on
is
the day of closing, right?
Closing is tomorrow. They just got money today for their whatever they sold.
Wow.
And he's just like, he's like, what should I do? I'm like, first of all, take a deep breath. I know it's I can't tell you what to do at the moment, but he arranged it obviously from family and stuff. But like, it's tough. I think a lot of the time, the biggest problem in our mortgage industry is like how people have had bad experience with realtors, they've had bad experience with brokers, is the last minute news.
Yeah.
Like, hey, sorry, but this is happening.
And that's the same thing that we've been referring to, that cold and transactional approach,
right.
About just being so focused on that one transaction, not thinking about how this decision may impact other things in their life,
right.
the client's life, right? So that's really important to highlight and really look at all aspects of their 100%. Financial position.
You just got to be transparent.
Just not one. Yeah, just be transparent.
Because I feel like people don't say everything because they're like, oh, what if they don't buy?
Yeah.
Or what if they don't get a mortgage through me?
Right.
But I think that fear needs to leave your, your sales pitch.
Yeah. I mean, 10 times over, we refer out clients to banks directly a lot, right?
Yeah,
because if we can't provide the right solution for our clients,
that's awesome.
What's really the point?
This is what's missing in the industry too, and a lot of people won't do that.
Yeah. And to look at money on the table as money gone, right? But we don't look at it that way.
You're getting goodwill too, and on top of that, I feel like when you give such a good advice to someone, they're gonna refer you more business too at the same time.
I've had tons of clients who haven't done a single deal for, but they've resulted in thousands of commissions being earned through other referrals.
100%. No, I think
it's worth it.
Or they always come back themselves, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
9 times out of 10.
I had a client actually reminding me of the story back in 2018 when I first came into the industry. I provided them some really sound advice. At that time, we had an approval in place for them. I think it was HSBC at that time. It was no longer in the Canadian market space, but
HSBC is not.
No, it got bought out by RBC, right?
Oh, right. I knew that.
Yeah. Kabir knew that.
Just testing you.
Yeah. At that time, I advised them to go with HSBC just because they had a lower rate, much lower rate than I could provide them.
Right.
But just last year, actually, they bought their third property.
Oh wow.
They realistically had to dig through their Rolodex to look for my number so I could provide them the right advice.
What's the phone number? Yeah, throw it out there. What's the phone number?
604-537-4897.
Or call 355-7001. I got you.
He'll eventually get you to me.
The first thing he said to you, he was like, I've been looking for your phone number. Like I can't tell you how long.
I've been looking for your phone number for 3 years.
Yeah, that's a compliment on its own when people are actually like digging for, there's so many brokers, and then that means they had a great experience in the beginning, right? So that's awesome. Yeah. And then were you able to help them out with their...
Yeah, we got it done. We got it done at loan to values that no one else could compete with the best rates in the market, and they're in their dream home.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
In terms of I feel like your business is also very similar to what we do. You have a lot of referral business too.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you do one transaction proper and you have no ill intention, and you're just helping the client out, even if that costs you to leave the client and tell them to go somewhere else, they're going to just refer you so much more business.
Yeah, it results in much more long-term growth for you personally as well.
Right. I think that's something which is very valuable in terms of people in this industry. So that's awesome. Tell me more about the one thing that I don't necessarily like about mortgage industry, not you guys obviously, I love you guys, right? Is the new agents. I get a call from this mortgage broker. His name is John. That's all I know about him, right?
Yeah.
Every Friday this guy's gonna call me at 5:30.
Okay.
Can we get a coffee? I'm like, bro, you gotta stop this pitch. One day he calls me, right? And I picked up the phone because now I know his number. I just don't even pick up the phone. I'm like, hey man, we need to change your pitch. This guy's like, can you tell me what should I say? I'm like, just be more welcoming, man. Just don't sell me anything because I'm in the same industry. You're in the same industry. I'm down to have a coffee. I'm willing to meet people. But if you're gonna call me same time, which I'm not gonna pick up. But what's your advice to new people in the industry? Because you guys been in the industry for so long now. New mortgage brokers.
I'll let you go first, actually, because you're newer into the broker world than I am, so maybe you're
his
better.
His pitch every Friday. I'm John, coffee. I'm like, no, man, John, we gotta change the pitch. So Malcolm's gonna give us a pitch today.
It's no pitch.
But it's a piece of what people can use in terms of...
I think it's kind of like what you said. It's like, don't try to sell me anything. It's like, hey, I always went with the approach like, hey, I'm interested in your business. Like, everybody wants to talk about their business at the end of the day, right? And then once you get to know Kabir and what his business is and who his clients are, like, how can I value add to that?
Exactly.
What's your competitive advantage that you're offering?
Right.
That broker number 2 or 3 there isn't.
Right. You got to stand out a little bit.
You got to connect on a level where it's not like a sale. It's like it's not me. Let's make it about you and how I can relate to that.
Exactly. Yeah. I get maybe 2 to 3 calls every week.
Yeah.
One guy, again, super nice guy, but same thing.
Yeah.
My name is this. I want to get a coffee. I'm like, brother.
Coffee Lala?
This
isn't Starbucks. Sorry, bro.
But I feel like that's very valuable. You need to know like what you can add to the table. Because I think one thing that the biggest flaw, because we also train a lot of new agents, the biggest flaw is I think when they call, they feel like they're working.
Yeah.
When it's not working for them, but at the same time, they're like, okay, I made 20 calls today, I'm done.
Yeah.
Even though all the 20 calls were like, stupid
voicemails
calls, right? But they feel like, oh, we have done something. So I think that's something people really need to understand. Like if you want to do something, you're going to do it properly.
Yeah.
And might as well just don't do it. So your advice is basically just add more value to what you can do.
Exactly.
Be value adding.
What's your...
Mine, honestly, is first and foremost, you got to present value to every single person and provide your 2 cents of what you can do and how you can improve their business, right? But outside of that, people tend to, when they look for business, they always ask, well, how do I get more business?
Right.
Honestly, there's not one right answer. There's multiple, right? And when I say multiple, it's every single source, right? Like hit every single point of your business that you think that can result in more business.
Give me like one like organic thing brokers can do right now to get more business.
Well, first way is obviously build relationships with realtors, but not just realtors, other industry professionals. People forget about lawyers. People forget about accountants. People forget about notaries, right? And other just professionals that are a part of the industry. For example, you're looking to grow in the construction space. Why don't you go build a relationship with an engineer's office that's actually approving these applications prior to them even hitting the city, right? Now, people may see that as stupid because, this project's going to get approved in 5 years. But what's that doing? That's allowing me to build rapport with that individual 5 years in advance before they even get to that level.
And then once that's there, is it just people are not like...
They're not long-term thinking, right? So I think that's the biggest component. Nice. So, that's just one value, right? So at the end of the day, approach your referral sources, whoever you can go for. Then on top of that, look at other ways. When I originally started in the construction industry, in construction mortgages, what I realistically did is went to the, people don't know this, there's a registry of approved GCs and approved builders, right, by BC Housing. Literally, you pull that list, you look at recently approved plans, because this is all public information.
This is valuable shit right there,
So I've been through the works, right? And it takes experience realistically to get there, and there's no one right answer to how to get more business. It's about hitting every single level, and eventually business will come to you.
Yeah. My theory is more you fuck around, more you find out.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I applied to my business.
To be honest.
I think that's exactly what it is. In terms, one last thing, then we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
Give me one, the most, horrendous, horrifying story about mortgages that you have done.
Oh man, we should have started at the beginning with this.
That's why we end it. We start at a good note. We end at a note where we don't want to repeat things again. And what did you learn from that one thing that happened?
This was not a personal client of mine, but we heard this story actually I was there. One of our brokers had made a cold call to a borrower that we got to know they incurred a $400,000 loss on their property. They were sitting on negative equity, and they were trying to make a decision as to what to do. Right. And honestly, the simple answer and the best answer for them is to sell the property. There's really no better answer than that if you don't have any other means, right? So it was just really about explaining to the client, like, honestly, that there's no other solution here, and this is more you have to think from a long-term aspect, right? Again, people look at, I lost 100,000 today, 200,000 today, and they're emotional. And don't get me wrong, it takes a lot of hard work to earn
all
that.
your savings and all that, which is again understandable because
but you have to be almost thinking from a long-term perspective and how this is going to impact you today if you do not control this and if you don't change this, right? So really just I invite people to be more thoughtful about their decisions that they're making and look at their existing portfolios and see how this problem today could possibly bite you in the ass 3 years from now. Simple as that.
So just the emotional aspect was so heavy that it's just put that's something I think a lot of people struggle to, which is, again, it's very tough not to look at it like in a bigger picture.
Absolutely.
But I think if you start looking at but again, if you have more knowledge and you have someone who can actually help you understand or see things differently, I think that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
What about you? What's the most
No real horrendous, scary stories.
Brother, I have so many, man. Fuck. I had one last night. I got a call at fucking 7:45.
Kabir called me. He's like, bro, how do I deal with this?
I'm like having my dinner, right? I didn't pick up my call. And this client, he calls me 6 times.
Yeah.
Usually he calls me like when he wants to just have a conversation. He has this routine of calling 3 times.
Right.
He's like, when I came to Canada, someone told me, if you want to follow up, if you want to get a call back, you got to call 3 times. I'm like, I respect that. When I saw 6, I'm like, fuck, I got to stop eating and fucking pick up the call. And then he tells me that. I'm like, fuck, dude, like, I'm sorry, but like, I'll see what I can do. Tell me one story. Like, yo, what should I do, chat? That moment came out.
I don't think I've had any personal experience.
Which is awesome, bro. You don't have to have it.
No, I don't want to bring it into the world and then it's going to happen to me tomorrow, right?
And it's particularly, like, he's selling himself short as well, right? Because at the end of the day, when we do look at client files, like, we go through the ringer with
you guys go through the emotional aspect too. When you tell a client, like, hey, when they thought they can get approved for this much, and then you give them a reality check, those emotions are also very...
Well, yeah, people are always so optimistic
Fuck you, buddy.
with what they think they make and what they think they earn and how much you can qualify for.
That's also emotional.
Sometimes it's as simple as just breaking it down for them. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
Sometimes it's about breaking down the numbers for them, just like really sincerely, right?
Right.
Okay, you make $50,000 a year. You want to buy a home that's worth this much. This is what the mortgage payment is. You break up $50,000 divided by 12. What does that work out to be? This is the mortgage payment. You tell me how you're going to service it.
Right.
If you can give me a sound answer, we'll work on it. But if you can't, like, how do you expect this to happen?
Which again, I think people need that anyways, right?
Yeah.
I said this before, like, and I'll say it again. We're not just financial advisors, we're financial therapists, right? When you're getting the nitty gritty of somebody's income and their debts, their assets, like, they really start to spill sometimes, right? Like, what's going on. But it's good for us because then we know how to really help them and we can...
I think you need to know the full story.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
And people are reluctant to sometimes share information.
Which is also fair, but like, I think with comfort, I think you have that.
Like, rapport building is a huge thing, in our world especially, when everyone is sharing their most personal information that no one else will see, right?
And for the ones that are reluctant, they need to know, like, we're not working for the bank or the lender. We're working for them to help them get approved and get them in a better financial situation, right? So,
I mean, we've taken clients from private all the way to A financing, right?
That's awesome.
We've taken people from condos to homes, so.
So if you want to do that, 604-355-7001, we'll put you in touch with both of them. So we'll wrap it up here. Any feedback for the podcast?
Oh, honestly, this is great. I like the casual vibe.
Have you gotten better from last? We've done 2 podcasts before.
We have.
One was at your office, one was at mine, right?
Yeah.
So we're
long time now, but
we're 3 for 3. 3 weeks, 3 podcasts. It's the most consistency I've ever shown in 2.
Who else are you gonna call?
No, today I'm done. So next we have this. So it's me, Dal, and Raj.
Yep.
So each week we take a turn.
Got it.
So this was my turn, and then we do 1 podcast together.
Got it.
So that's how we're like staying consistent.
Yeah.
And so thank you very much for your guys'
Thank you
insight
for having us.
and on the house. And so we'll do one more again. But that was it.